It's our favourite section of society, the celebrities who are there to be our moral conscience and moral leaders. Isn't that right? I think actually one of the fascinating side developments since the Israel-Hamas war began is we're beginning to, or not beginning to, but it's becoming overwhelmingly clear about the moral bankruptcy and the moral utter amorality of the celebrity world, and why we glorified them and treated them as idols, I have no idea. But here is Hannah Einbinder, who is a Jewish actress who was just at the Emmys, and in her acceptance speech for awards, she said, "Free Palestine." And then she was asked to expand upon this, why she said this. And she said that as a Jewish person, oh yeah, we've heard this, haven't we, a million times before, I have to distinguish Jews from the state of Israel. Is that right? Is that right, Hannah? Well, let's have a listen to her words first, and then I'll give you my reaction.
When you were up on stage, you talked about Palestine, and I know you signed a pledge too. Can you talk about that, please?
Yeah. So, well, I thought it was important to talk about Palestine because it's an issue that's very dear to my heart. I have friends in Gaza who are working as frontline workers, as doctors right now in the north of Gaza to provide care for pregnant women and for school children to create schools in the refugee camps. And it's an issue that's really close to my heart. For many reasons, I feel like it is my obligation as a Jewish person to distinguish Jews from the state of Israel because our religion and our culture is such an important and long-standing, basically like institution that is really separate to this sort of ethno-nationalist state. And in terms of the pledge, it's like many movements, boycotting is an effective tool to create pressure on the powers that be to meet the moment, So the Film Workers for Palestine boycott does not boycott individuals. It only boycotts institutions that are directly complicit in the genocide. So, yeah, it's important to me, and I think it's an important measure, and so I was happy to be a part of it.
Just beautiful. Just beautiful. Before I give you my reaction to her words, and I just wrote it down on my notepad here, it is my obligation to distinguish as a Jewish person, distinguish Jews from the state of Israel, because our religion, our culture is such an important and long-standing tradition. I'd like to tell you a little bit about your religion and culture, because Hannah, I don't want to make any assumptions, but I have just the slightest suspicion that you may not be the most knowledgeable person on the planet about Judaism and the Jewish people, and I'm not even sure that the God of Israel is the God that you are at this moment in time worshipping when you invoke Judaism. It strikes me, I'd venture to guess, that your God is progressivism, wokery. I mean, just judging based on the words you say, and the fact that you say the words "Free Palestine," which is the modern day version of saying Heil Hitler. I kid you not, because it is calling for the annihilation of the Jews. And I'll get into detail on that in a second. But just so you know, she is wearing there, in this video here, there's this little red badge that she's wearing, okay? And this red handpin symbolizes the blood of Jewish blood that Palestinians want to shed. Okay, this is a picture of them mutilating and killing an Israeli, I think it was an Israeli soldier in Judea and Samaria. In fact, was it even a soldier? Let me just double check. Yes, it was 2 Israeli military reservists. And that is what this symbol has come to mean. Maybe she doesn't know that, I don't know. But Kevin Vuong, who is a Toronto Member of Parliament, said, if you're wondering what Hannah Einbinder's red pin is all about, it's glorifying terrorist Aziz Salah, whose hands were bloodied from lynching 2 Israelis. Aviva Klompas wrote, the real question for Hannah Binder is, what exactly do you want to free Palestine from? From UNRWA classrooms that teach Palestinians that Jews just like you and me are subhuman and should be slaughtered? From Hamas, which has spent 2 decades building a terror army instead of schools and hospitals for its own people? From the same terrorists who use the Palestinians who see them as expendable human shields? No, I don't suppose that is what you mean. And by the way, you forgot to mention the hostages. I would think it's also your obligation as a Jewish person to muster at least a word for the hostages, your brothers and sisters being starved and tortured in Gaza. But I'd like to say a few other things, if I may. Again, I keep going back to these words. It's our obligation to distinguish Jews and our religion from the state of Israel. What is the state of Israel? It is the collective will of the Jews living in this land, in their ancient homeland. It's not some kind of separate, distinct project. They're voted in by the elected will of the Jewish people. It is the state for the Jewish people, the Jewish state. A Jewish state in the land of Israel for Jews. You tell me that has nothing to do with Judaism. Have you read this book? It's called the Torah. I'm not saying the Torah endorses all the decisions of the Israeli government. Of course I'm not saying that. But the idea that the Jewish people have the right to live in the land of Israel and that they should be sovereign there. This entire book is the story of the nation of Israel going to their promised land of Israel. And it is literally on every single page. The Jewish journey begins right at the start of Genesis. And God's very first documented words to Abraham. God said to Abram, go for yourself from your land, from your relatives, and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I'll make of you a great nation. I'll bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I'll bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. And all of the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you. God appeared to Abraham and said, to your offspring I will give this land. It is literally on every single page, and then it becomes the story of the nation of Israel ascending to the land of Israel after being enslaved in Egypt. In fact, the first book of the 5 books of Moses in the Torah, Genesis, the book of Genesis, the law of Israel, the religion that you speak of, the commandments, are hardly spoken about. The main overriding obsessional message is that the land that God promises to Israel as an eternal inheritance. And then you talk about morality. I have to distinguish myself as a Jew, as Judaism. Have you read this book? Again, I don't want to make assumptions about you. But if you want to know anything about Judaism, it is not pacifist, doesn't believe in suicidal empathy. It teaches that there is such a thing as just war. As the Talmud says, if someone rises to kill you, come and kill them first. You have nothing to say about what happened on October 7th? You think that Israel shouldn't be doing what it's doing in Gaza? The most surgically precise war in going after Hamas? So if that's not acceptable to you, then what is acceptable? Presumably for them to be doing nothing. As someone said, I wouldn't wish any violence or bad upon her. But God forbid she was at the Nova Festival. She would be gunned down, slaughtered, mutilated, raped, taken hostage by Hamas, just as much as anyone else would. Of course, her intention is to try and distinguish herself as one of the good Jews. All she's doing is losing respect from both the Jewish people and the non-Jewish world because they look at her and see you're prepared to betray your own people. It's a response coming from fear, from a desire to be loved, to be safe. That's in a world that's coming down on Jews. But it's reprehensible because it's siding with immorality in the Jewish people's time of crisis. And as for the whole ethno-state thing, you know what? Every people is entitled to have a place they can call home. Every family is entitled to that. Every person is, and every people are. And every people, by the way, should have a right for its mainly to come from the people there, to be its native inhabitants and population, and to grow from that, and yes, to add from that, and to have some mix and allow for people in to come and go. But they're entitled to have the main seed and ethnic grouping be the main inhabitants there. But others are absolutely welcome to join as well. And that's the key point. The Jewish people are not just an ethnicity. They're a nation. Anyone can become a Jew. So it's not an ethno-state. It's a state that, yes, does come from a particular seed, the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But others can join us. We even believe the Messiah himself is going to come from a convert. The Parsha, the Torah reading, where we're given the Ten Commandments, is named after Yitro, Moses' father-in-law, who was a convert. Because Judaism is not about ethnicity. It is, yes, about a seed, the seed of Jacob in part, but because anyone can convert to Judaism and thus become a citizen of Israel if they wanted to, it's about values. By the way, let's not forget that there are plenty of non-Jews, including Arabs, that live in Israel as equal Israeli citizens. Although I think Israel needs to get tougher in making sure that people who are there not are Jewish, but are loyal to Israel and aren't prepared to bat for the other side. But I'm fed up with this nonsense, these attempts to smear Israel. After everything the Jewish people's been through, you start talking of it as an ethno-state, basically trying to imply that it's kind of Nazi-esque in nature, which means that they are worthy of being destroyed. Have you no concern whatsoever for Jewish safety, for Jewish life? I always want to give the people the benefit of the doubt, and at best I can say this person is just ignorant. But it's getting more and more tiresome to do that. Where these people who feign piety, where they're actually justifying evil. And then she speaks about boycotting. How many nations and regimes could you think of that are worthy of boycotting before you could even begin to start examining any of the things that Israel does? Iran, North Korea, Russia, China, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Yemen, so much of the Middle East. And she wants to boycott Israel? Who else does she want to boycott? That alone should show you that this is utterly absurd. To isolate the one and only Jewish state for doing what? For the crime of no longer not allowing itself, but not being able to be slaughtered because they can finally defend themselves and protect themselves. It's sick. It's sick. And we all need to stand up against this. No more silent majority who are silent and just sit back and know that it's wrong but don't say anything. All of us have a duty to speak out and say, enough is enough. Stop feigning piety in the name of evil. A quick message before we finish. We have been lied to about the Palestinians from beginning till end. Have a watch of the trailer for our new documentary called The Invention of the Palestinians, How a Nation Was Invented to Destroy Another. And if you want to watch the full thing, just click on the link in the video description. The Palestinians. We have been told they are an ancient people fighting for their homeland which has been stolen from them. This narrative has fueled decades of conflict, painting Israel as an occupier of stolen land. But what if this identity is not of an ancient nation, but a modern, cynical invention? A political construct designed not to build a state, but to dismantle the Jewish one. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to uncover the truth behind the creation of the Palestinian identity. How it was forged in the fires of pan-Arabism, absent in historical records until strategically rebranded in the 1960s by leaders like Egyptian-born Yasser Arafat to rally global opposition against Israel. We'll trace its roots from the Ottoman era, where Palestine was a region without a distinct people, through the pre-1948 years of Arab rejectionism, before focusing on the pivotal shift of the 1960s, when Arafat declared we should now be known as Palestinians, inventing symbols like the flag to mask genocidal aims. This wasn't about self-determination, it was about exploiting refugees, suppressing true aspirations under Arab rule, and perpetuating a war to destroy Israel. Join us as we debunk the myths of an ancient Palestinian nation, expose the strategic manipulation, and reveal how this construct has hindered peace while fueling hate. Fair but firm, this is the story of an identity weaponized, not for building a future, but for erasing one. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.